Hi guys, Matthew from Fidelity here, and welcome to the review of the HE1000se by Hifiman. For transparency reasons, Hifiman did send this unit out for a review. However, this does not change my opinion in any way, shape or form. If you guys prefer to read your reviews instead of watching them, check out the link in the description, earfidelity.com. Go ahead and check that out. So, in concept, this is supposed to be like a baby Susvara. It is almost their flagship headphone. It is priced at $3,500 and of course it is a planar magnetic headphone. I've been using this bad boy for quite a while now. I think it's become my favorite headphone, even compared to the Susvara. As time passes, you'll learn why. The main thing about it is that, as I mentioned in the intro, it's supposed to be a baby Susvara, but it is also supposed to be kind of less dependent on the sources. So you no longer need a nuclear reactor to power those. You can actually do it quite efficiently, even from your phone, as I have in the past. So this is definitely a very interesting product, something pretty unique. So yeah, let's get right into it. The basics. The headphone arrives in a pretty nice leather-like box, which is lined with a satin kind of looking material, and honestly there's not that much to it. It's not the biggest or the highest quality box you'll ever encounter. I would honestly rather take that than having them, make a very expensive box and then cut back on stuff like sound quality. We get our cables in 3 terminations, 6.3, 3.5 and XLR. So in my opinion that should cover 95% of desktop amplifiers. The cables themselves aren't the best quality, you know how the stock cables tend to be, and this is no different. They're like just enough. They have this kind of rubber lining, so yeah, they kind of remember their shape. Next up, comfort. So this is actually pretty remarkable in terms of comfort. There aren't many headphones, maybe apart from Meze's flagships, the Empyrean and the Elite, and maybe some odysseys with like the boxing glove pads that match it in terms of comfort. Even the Susvara for me is less comfortable, but both this, any HE1000 iteration and the Aria are super comfortable. I absolutely love how the pad right here kind of goes around your ear instead of touching it basically, and most of the pressure is distributed over, most if not all of it is distributed on this leather headband. And honestly, given how lightweight it is, it makes for a very comfortable experience. You can sit with it for hours and not get fatigued at all, so absolutely no problems there. The next thing is the build quality, and this is definitely a step up from basically anything that's below this price point when it comes to Hifiman's offerings. So this is a full metal construction, almost full, as you'll see later. We got this spring headband that's pretty elastic. We got this kind of regulated strap right here, which is actually a pretty good option for a suspension strap like that. I actually like it. You look pretty goofy wearing this, but whatever, man. You just have to have a good sound. And here, this is pretty interesting because this right here covers all around the cup, and this is not actually wood, this is veneer. And it's important because wood requires some pretty high level maintenance. You have to oil it, you have to watch out for humidity, you have to watch out for so many things. But veneer, it looks just as good, and it's way less picky when it comes to maintenance. So that's a plus in my book, definitely. And wood would also raise the cost. So apart from that, of course, we have the soft parts of the headphone, the strap and the pads. The strap is made of a suede-like material, It's comfortable, of course, it's perforated, but it attracts some dust and some hair, as you can probably see on the B-rolls and maybe even here. I have two cats, two gray-haired cats, so this just catches everything that they shed, so bear that in mind. However, it's still comfortable, it's still high quality. However, please try not hanging it on like a pole or something like that, because it may actually change the shape of the headband and it's kind of hard to reverse, so watch out. Next up, the pads. The stock pads on this thing are actually very decent. So we have this kind of fabric material inside, and on the outsides and the insides we got leather. The pads are very soft, they're pretty thick. I think they're a little bit thicker than the Aria. The entirety of those headphones is comfortable. You can spend hours listening to music on those. Comfort and build quality, solid A+. The HE1000se is also pretty interesting in terms of technology. So we have stuff like the stealth magnets. We also have the nanometer diaphragm. So both of these are solutions that are supposed to help out with distortion. And yeah, it's pretty obvious from the very start of your listening session that there's basically no distortion when it comes to those headphones. So, sound-wise, finally let's get to the sound. Let's start with the bass. The bass on those is very technical. We have a very sharp impact, and we have a pretty good decay on those. That's probably the first thing that comes to mind. They're not very strong in terms of the punch, the slam. I think they're decent. However, if you're a bass head, stay away from those if you don't want to EQ them. I think they could do even better with something like a warmer source and a high-powered source to kind of help out with the dynamics of the lower end. The bass kind of reminds me of the bass from the Aria V2, which is very technical, very sharp, snappy, more punchy than kind of explosive, refined, technical, just not too strong. That's it. I think a good way to describe it is actually to take, for example, Roman Holiday by Fontaines DC, one of my favorite tracks at the moment actually. So the percussion at the beginning sounds snappy. The impact is, of course, you can feel it, just not too much. It's fast, it's sharp, it's very high resolution, and honestly, that's what I want from my bass. I don't really need the most punchy things. I don't really need to be kicked in the head whenever I listen to a little bit more bassy tracks. So yeah, this keeps me happy, and it actually works well for the versatility of this headphone. Onto the mid-range. This is not the warmest, most lush mid-range you'll ever hear. However, again, this is a very technically impressive headphone. We have amazing resolution here, very good detail, very good presence, and again, versatility. This headphone in the mid-range, in the vocals, can do both away from you and more intimate. And this intimacy is especially prominent when listening to anything where vocals play a main role. And that's also why I think the HE1000se deserves a warmer source. I think this little bit of warmth is all that's missing in here, because technically it's nearly perfect. We got, as I mentioned, detail, we got air, we've got presence, we've got transparency. It's almost perfect. Apart from this little bit of warmth, it's just great. The vocals can sound very emotional. For example, Eyes Without a Face by Billy Idol. The guitars, the vocals. It kind of changes from a listening experience to, just feeling the music. It's so apparent in its presentation. It's quite amazing. Treble-wise, actually, I'd like to compare it to Aria V2 right here. Aria V2 was a little bit too shouty for me. To me personally, it wasn't tamed enough with the treble. And here the situation is a little bit better, so we still have great clarity, great sparkle, great air. We got rid of the shoutiness. So That's a huge upgrade. I may sound like a salesman, but I warned you guys. I said it's one of my favorite headphones, if not the favorite headphone of all time, so you got what you had coming. In some recordings, due to how analytical this headphone can be, it may not be the most forgiving. I think this is a very good implementation of a bright, neutral sound signature. It's that kind of brightness that enhances the air and enhances the resolution, but it's not painful, it doesn't scream at you. Now let's compare this headphone to another headphone that I have right here, the Rosson Red Zero. We also got it for a review. Yeah, what I have to say about the Rosson is I think both it and the HE1000se are very good headphones, however in different ways. So when you got Rosson, I think there's more of a note weight, however not as much clarity, not as much transparency. So I think those two cans kind of complement each other in a way. And they're both good at their separate fields. However, the Rosson is still a very entertaining, fun, and engaging listen. Just completely different. Yeah, I was supposed to have some pretty pictures of the HE1000se from our website in the background, but that didn't work out. Sorry. Now on to the technical performance of the headphone. So if you've listened to Aria V2, you may love the giant stage, the perfect nearly imaging, and that's basically what's left here in this headphone. We still got the great stage, we still got the great imaging, we still got pretty good impact, dynamics, clarity, absolutely no issue with that. I think this has world-class clarity, definitely. The soundstage is very airy and open. It's really big, there's no congestion. The perceived soundstage may be a little bit smaller than Aria V2, however it is still giant, it is still open, it still benefits from well-recorded live performances. Listening to While My Guitar Gently Weeps from the Concert for George was a miracle, it was a dream come true, it really felt like I was there. Together with the great imaging, dynamics, amazing separation, this basically has it all in terms of technical performance. You would be hard-pressed to find something that's better without paying a premium. So finally we reach, I think, one of the most important points in this headphone's overall existence, which is synergy. The previous HE1000 and the HE1000 V2 for that matter, and Aria, I think, have had similar specifications when it came to impedance and sensitivity, making them pretty hard to drive, very peaky in terms of amplification, however quite rewarding when you pick up the proper amp. So it's way better when it comes to that. I've driven this thing off my Galaxy Note 9 and I was still satisfied with the sound. I still had that high-end experience. Of course, it's going to scale with amplification. In general, you can run it off a dongle, you can run it off a DAP easily, no problem. You can run it off basically any desktop amplifier and you're gonna be satisfied. However, the higher the quality, the better the sound. And if I was to recommend something, I definitely recommend something that's a little bit warm, that packs a little punch in the bass. Some of you may need the treble to be a little bit turned down. However, it's really good to have a very high-end, almost summit-fi, I would say, headphone that isn't very picky when it comes to amplification. I think that's super important, and it's one of the main reasons why this is my favorite headphone. So on a day-to-day basis, I use it with a Burson Playmate, Playmate 2 actually, with the operational amplifiers changed to the V6 Vivid. But I've demoed this headphone with many different forms of amplification. Even my phone, come on, it's a $3,500 headphone that runs great on my phone. It's almost ridiculous if you think about it, but it's true. So, to sum things up, I hope you liked this review. I hope it was informative, and yeah, overall, I think this is a great headphone. Top tier technical performance, great implementation of the bright neutral kind of sound signature. The only thing it lacks for me is a little bit of warmth, but that can be easily fixed with a good amplifier with a warm sound signature. The price tag is pretty steep. $3,500 is not pocket change, especially for a headphone. But in my opinion, given what else we have on the market right now, I think it's worth the price, at least for me. So yeah, I'm absolutely glad to have been using this headphone. Let me know what you think of it in the comments, you guys, and see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.